BaconBit Gene.
BaconBit Gene?
BaconBit. I need you to BaconBit Gene.
Is that like a preview into the movie somehow?
Yes.
How?
I don't know.
Me
Welcome
neither.
to our BaconBit.
I'm Kent. Just say your names.
I'm Joel.
Hi, Jake.
I'm not Kent. I'm not Joel.
Hi,
This
Jake.
is so confusing.
You can
Have we
figure it
not
out.
done this before? Welcome to the BaconBit review of Dark Phoenix, which is the...
There's no X-Men with Dark Phoenix. It is just Dark Phoenix.
It's not even part of like after a colon or whatever.
No,
There's
it's just
colon,
Dark Phoenix.
Which, can I say, I enjoy that.
Yes, me
I'm
too.
tired of being dumbed down, like movie titles being dumbed down. So it's like, we know Solo, a Star Wars story.
Or even X2, X-Men United. We could have just got X-Men United. Like, we get it.
Yeah. Like, it choose the number, choose the thing at the end. What do they call that? The post-colon.
Yes.
Don't.
They have to pander to Kent's like Jod Yokel friends.
Yeah. So Kent and I saw this movie,
Yes,
Dark Phoenix.
but can I give a little spoiler alert for 4 years from now when the X-Men come back?
Wait, spoiler for
Disney?
something that hasn't even happened yet?
Yes, I can see into the future as we know. I can travel into the future. I saw
careful.
I know, right? I mess everything up. I saw an interview with the producer for Marvel Disney, and they're like, "Oh, what are your plans for X-Men in the future?" She's like, "We can't say, but don't you think the term men is a little outdated?" And I was like, "Oh no, here we go, here we go." And I think they're going to change it to X-Team. I truly do.
So weird.
I know, and I hate it.
Yeah. Anyway,
Meanwhile.
so we're going to talk about this movie. We're not going to give any spoilers for this first little part. We're just going to give our review.
Yes.
And then we'll let you know when we're going to start spoiling things. So you can turn it off if you haven't seen the movie at that point.
And don't want it spoiled.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
Jacob, are you okay being in the room when we get into the spoiler full version?
Well, considering the headlines I saw for the movie, like
Don't believe everything
reviews,
that you read. You got a parking violation and a maggot on your sleeve.
Where it's at?
no, I'm going to believe it. No,
Wait, you're going to
that's
believe?
Loser, isn't it?
Yeah.
No,
I was
that's
doing Loser. He was doing...
So Dark
Beck.
Phoenix tells the story. It's the fourth movie in this series of X-Men movies.
Does this mean
It
you're
started
going-
with First
whoa, whoa,
Class.
Are you
The
going
four-
first? Is that
okay,
what's going on?
hold
No, I'm giving a summary.
The fourth movie in the latest series. It's like
Yes.
the seventh X-Men movie to overall?
No, it's actually like the 12th.
Oh, we're not
based
including
on the
Origins.
spin-offs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Deadpool movies and whatnot.
Oh, yeah, I guess those.
And
But like,
Logan.
straightforward
Dirt,
X-Men
dirt,
movies.
dirt. All right.
What did you say? Was that a yada yada yada?
Yeah.
Dirt. So yeah, this is the rebooted series from X-Men First Class,
Yes.
Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and now we have Dark Phoenix.
Remarkably inconsistent.
Which did we do an entire episode about X-Men Apocalypse?
We did we
did
did
a
the
Bacon
review and then we ranked them.
Oh, that's right.
After
okay.
that,
But that was a long time ago. That was 2016.
yeah. So that was the last official X-Men movie, and now this
We
is
were so young then.
This is
We
the
were.
last X-Men movie as we know it, because the rights are moving to Disney, like
Yeah.
for this and
Done with
Fantastic
Fox
Four.
onto Disney.
Yeah, so Disney is even kind of they're the distributor of this movie because they currently own them, like as of right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so this movie tells the story. It's decades after this First Class started. Now we have a young Jean Grey and the team, and Jean Grey has some issues that she's been keeping since she was young.
Oh, no.
And Professor X has been trying to help her through those issues, but something happens, something cosmic that causes the Phoenix to rise and cause some calamity.
Yes.
There we go.
So he goes to a space shuttle and gets killed because that's in the trailer.
Well, not necessarily.
You didn't see it, sir.
So, so Kent and I saw this. Kent, do you want to give your review first, or should I give my review first?
Go for it.
Okay. I will give my review. So, I think I was lukewarm on Apocalypse. It was kind of this mediocre movie.
You know, most
That's
people
because it
hated
was.
it, right?
Yeah, I actually didn't know that until I started reading reviews for this movie.
Yeah. Or, for me, it was like such a step down from Days of Future Past, but I was still okay with elements because I love the characters so much. Like, we've talked about how much we love the cartoon on this show.
Yeah.
And yes, even though the X-Men franchise is 50-50, I mean, it truly is. There are
is,
great
yeah.
and there are terrible. I just thought Apocalypse was middle of the road.
Well,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be, as I recall, a Bryan Singer 2-part movie, and then the studio wouldn't let him, so he smashed it into one,
Yeah.
which it just didn't work.
It didn't work.
It didn't work. But we're not reviewing Apocalypse. We're reviewing Dark Phoenix.
Yes. We teased enough.
So, Dark Phoenix, here's my review. I want you to imagine, gentlemen, that you're sitting down for breakfast
Okay.
Okay, is there eggs?
How long did it take you to come up with this analogy?
during the movie.
Okay.
I can't have carbs, Joel. I can't have any carbs.
Oh,
so
too bad.
It needs to be protein.
Because here's what this movie is. This movie is if someone served you a cold bowl of instant oatmeal, an angry person served you a cold bowl of instant oatmeal, where they just thump it down on the table. They're like, here, enjoy. And then you're like, oh, thank you. and no one seems to enjoy what's going on, but you start eating and it's like, okay, there's some substance here. Oh, there's a rehydrated berry that's kind of good, but overall, it's a miserable experience. That's what this movie was.
But
A
Oliver would
miserable
say, please,
experience.
can I have some more?
I don't want gruel. I want entertainment.
Can I have some sausages or
So-
something? Bacon?
Too late. The
ham?
You have
kitchen's
oatmeal.
closed. Slam. No, it feels like everyone in this movie just kind of hated being in this movie. No one seems to be enjoying their role. There is no joy. There is no happiness in this movie. Not that there needs to be, but
It's funny because that was on one of the titles I saw that was joyless.
yeah.
Do you think they knew
I don't know.
that the transition was happening?
Oh, I should clarify this too. We sat down.
probably feels like
and normally at the beginning of these screenings, they'll stand up and say, "Attention! Don't film with your phones, or we'll flog you in the back corner."
Yeah.
But this time it was, "Attention! You are not allowed to review this movie until Wednesday night at 10 p.m."
Yeah. The embargo. I was like,
embargo.
oh, that's a problem.
Because whenever they
2 days
hold off
before.
an embargo just before it starts, because they don't have faith in the movie.
Well, truthfully, that's happened for a lot of blockbusters lately, like with Captain Marvel, Endgame, and Shazam. But they didn't say it outright in the critic screening.
Not
They just
that late of an embargo, right?
Yeah, no, for real.
Really?
Like all those movies, it's been 3 days before. You could always do social maybe 2 weeks ahead of time. This is beyond the point, but they announced it there, and I was
Yeah.
like,
they're
oh
like,
no.
No embargo. Don't talk about it. And I saw a lot of reviewers saying, "Can't wait to talk about it." But it's not like I needed a happy flowers and butterflies type of X-Men movie. I didn't want that. But normally you can, even when you're watching a dark movie, like The Dark Knight, for example, that's not a happy movie, but you can tell they love doing it. The people that are in the
There's
movie.
passion there. Is
the
that
people
what you're
are-
saying?
Yeah, some sort of passion from the filmmaker. This felt kind of slapped together, and there were parts and lines that didn't make sense, but it was like, hey, we want to say this. We don't have a place for it. Just throw it in here. Doesn't matter. And then they all seem just very angry and bitter. And then the story takes this weird spiral where it doesn't make any sense unless certain people do not communicate effectively. And as long as they're not
I hate
communicating,
that as a plot device.
But it's in every story. Look at the whole Harry Potter universe.
Well,
every movie is built on that.
but
I know.
that's also
People still accept that. I don't know. Why do they put
it's
up with
lazy,
that?
but it's in
annoying.
every movie. It's
but
a
here's
formula.
the thing: you forgive that if there's other elements to enjoy. Like if there's other things you're enjoying about the movie, then you're like, I'll let that slide.
Okay, don't.
But I was like, at the beginning of the movie, there's an opening action sequence right out of the gate.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I'm into this. And then they dove right into the drama, and I'm like, oh, that seemed a little weird. And then other drama happened, and I'm like, wow, they're really pushing this, aren't they? So overall, what I want to say is that I did not enjoy this movie, believe it or not. I thought it was a mess. I think I like Apocalypse better than this. I think I like X-Men: The Last Stand better than this movie.
That's a lot of hyperbole you're throwing out there, Joel. Joel, hold on.
Because-
Joel, you're going to make him defend it now?
Here's the
Oh,
thing, no,
absolutely.
here's the thing about Last Stand.
It ruined the potential of X2? Yes, it did. It's the worst X-Men movie by a mile? Yes, it is.
Let me speak. Here's my thing about Last Stand. I can enjoy that movie because of the camp and how terrible it is. It's like, oh, this is so bad. This is terrible. This one, I don't ever want to watch it again because it was a miserable experience. And I'm watching it going, I can't even find like jokes to make about this movie. It's just flat and lifeless. So
Worse. I think people are, it's
So,
a bit much.
I'm probably put on
Review
the
is
same
a flat, lifeless corpse that is no Phoenix.
Oatmeal.
So
flat,
not
lifeless,
coming back.
mushy oatmeal served by a grumpy person. I'm giving it, but here's the thing.
This is the worst review I've ever heard.
I think
from
there are some people that are going to like it, and it's because it's edgy and dark. And so I'm going to give it 2 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
Because there were some visual effects that were quite entertaining. They did pump some money into this one, I could tell.
Are you sure?
They spent a lot of time on post, I think. Because there's a lot of stuff going on there where I'm like, okay, but they're
And I'll talk
they
about
repeated
like,
a lot of the same
I'm
effects.
talk about some of the action scenes in the spoiler part of this show. We'll
Right.
talk about like the reshoots that they did
Yeah.
for this movie.
They totally reshot
But
the
not
ending.
yet. The whole like last 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, didn't like it. And if Kent did, then he's wrong. Go Kent. Your
I
turn.
liked it.
You liar.
No, I actually kind of liked it.
No, you didn't.
Like it is a hot mess. As
You
far
don't.
as
You
the
don't
movie.
have to go contrary. You could just hate on this movie.
Again, here's the thing. Joel was just setting you up to trick you.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, he actually really likes it.
No,
Joel
look,
does.
this is a slightly above average movie, but I actually.
What?
Yeah. No, I sat there and I was
No.
like, I'm waiting for this movie to get terrible, and it did. And I'm waiting for characters to not make sense, and they didn't. And I'm waiting for bad lines and everything to happen. But the whole time I'm like, you know what? This is how it would kind of play out. This is how X2
No.
would play out if they had the time to develop the characters.
No.
Because this movie is between Professor Xavier and Jean Grey. And for that, and kind of leaving the rest of the X-Men in the background.
They're cardboard cutouts.
Yeah, they're cardboard cutouts.
All the other characters have no development whatsoever.
It is called Dark Phoenix, and this is truly about James McAvoy's character and Sophie Turner's character. She's not the best actress. James McAvoy kind of has to carry it and almost be unlikable in this movie. And for that reason, I wanted to see them more. I wanted the movie to be about their connection.
You want to see them more? They were 90% of the movie.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You wanted 100% them.
Because no one else really mattered at this point. Even Magneto at times, I'm like, you don't really need to be here, Michael Fassbender. You're showing up because
you say that all the time when he tries to come to parties.
Yeah, right. I would invite him to every party.
You have to keep telling him or he doesn't listen, though. Am I right?
But I'll be honest, man, the villain in this movie, Jessica Chastain and her lackeys, well, some of the worst explained villains I've ever seen in a comic book movie.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't find that.
Really?
They were actually one of the more interesting parts.
They didn't even have names, Joel. They were aliens.
They didn't
without names.
I read about this today.
Wait.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Yeah,
Is it
I'm not
spoiler? Okay.
I read about it in a spoiler-free world. So
Sure.
it's she apparently her name is said once, blink and you miss it.
Is it?
Yeah.
That was a spoiler. Now we know her name's said once.
Her motivation is stolen from other comic book movies, and that's about as far as it goes. And so I said, so here's the thing. I walked out of this movie kind of like I do. I go, actually, I'm pleased. I'm quite pleased. And then I walk away and I go, there's too many cons to really like this movie. I know it in my heart that there is so much weakness here.
This is a bad movie.
See, I disagree. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad movie. It's super weak, and it's a hot mess. But I found myself... no, I mean...
Are you hearing yourself right now?
We got to teach you about
absolutely. No, technically, I see the issues. But there are things I like about it, which is why I say, from my experience in liking these characters... And what happened, Jake, let me explain it to you, what I like about this movie.
Okay.
This is small scale. This isn't world-ending story. This is a story about characters and, honestly, close quarter combat. Most of the action scenes were punching and just the X-Men showing off their powers in unique ways.
That's what you want in the next movie. Punching.
Totally. Absolutely.
Lots of punching.
It shouldn't be global battle, sky beams. It should be about a team fighting together. And for me, it delivered that. And I go, okay, and look, if this movie didn't have the score... it would probably be a full grade below what it is. But Hans Zimmer's score is, for me, super memorable.
What memorable? Really it's boom, boom, boom.
Listen to it; you'll actually like it. Okay. It's quite good.
I'm not saying it's a bad score. I'm saying it doesn't deserve to raise it by a full letter grade.
It's far better than the movie itself.
Can you wholeheartedly endorse me going to watch this movie though?
Knowing what you know with low expectations, I think people will like this movie.
No.
If they go with low expectations,
totally.
Waste of your time, waste of your money.
This is funny.
Yeah. Then I will say this: there's not a joke in the movie. I appreciate that.
I think there may be a joke at one point. I was
there?
Well, I think I remember being just
I felt like they knew what they didn't have on the table as far as
talent,
jokes go. No, I mean, look, if you want to criticize people who sleepwalk through this movie or Jennifer Lawrence and through the entire series. But still, there is talent there. Not with the director so much. Simon Kinberg, who is the writer of the X-Men series, he is the director. He's really not meant to be. This does look like a TV production at times. But I don't know. For some reason, I liked it. I think I should hate this.
Because we're on the BaconBit, he likes it.
Well, I'm going to be contrary to you.
Right.
But I can't hate it. Deep down inside, I'm technically flawed.
I can.
I still enjoy the experience.
Joel hates it.
I'll hate it.
You're allowed.
X-Men Last Stand is better.
No, it is not.
All right. We're ready, Kent. What's your grade?
Oh, it's a C+.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is way too high for this movie.
Did you give this movie what?
Two out of 5 stars.
Is it a D?
I don't convert for you, remember?
You used to up until you're going. We were giving you crap.
C+. We've seen some C+. What did we give C+ to?
Godzilla.
Godzilla was C+?
Yes.
Yeah, you did C+.
Endgame, C+, right?
B-.
So you're saying this is barely...
That was 3 hours. 3 hours of plot holes in that movie. Fun.
This was an entire plot hole.
Really fun.
One big plot hole.
It was so small scale that it didn't even have time to have plot holes. It just had poorly explained characters.
It starts out in space.
Yeah. A simple space rescue mission.
I have to say, I kind of want this to continue.
Well, it's going to in the spoiler full section.
Yes. Are we doing it?
Yeah. Spoilers. Spoilers. Spoilers.
So
Shink. Spoilers, Bob.
Shirk. Snicked? It's snicked. It's actually snicked.
Anyway.
Shink.
Name one thing that was good about this movie.
Oh, James McAvoy.
No, he was terrible.
No, I liked
the whole
him.
time I was like, Okay, maybe Split ruined him for me because he just seems to be like doing one of his personalities
taking a character who's always been the source of wisdom and making him kind of the villain of the movie. I was like, no, that's a good arc.
I hated that.
Well,
no,
it's a good arc if they've prepared you for it.
They didn't.
No, and that's the problem here. Is
like literally, okay.
They jumped right into the Dark Phoenix storyline because they're like, we have to do it. It's another X-Men franchise.
Let me just set this up for you, Jacob. Let me just set this up for you.
Okay.
So the beginning of the movie starts out, and there's this team of astronauts in a space shuttle in space that's falling apart because of some disturbance that's there, some solar flare, they're calling it.
Yes. Related to our villainous aliens.
Yes. We don't know that yet, though. So the X-Men go up there. They have this whole discussion of whether I blanked on the name of the plane. What is it?
Does that matter?
X-plane?
Oh, the
X-Wing?
No, that's Star Wars.
Quinjet. No, that's Avengers.
Queen.
Their plane. Yes. So they're like, can it go up to space? Yes, it can go up to space. So they fly up there. Now, I just want to set the scene for you, Jacob.
Okay.
So the astronauts are in one ship. They're in their ship. Quicksilver and Nightcrawler transfer over to the astronaut ship, and Quicksilver runs around and unbuckles all the people, and then Nightcrawler takes them all back into the plane.
Yeah.
And then Storm, they're like, oh, the plane's leaking. You need to stop that. So she like puts ice over the holes so it stops leaking air or pressure because there's still a person left in there. So then Jean and Nightcrawler go over there so that Jean can hold the plane together while Nightcrawler goes and finds the pilot or captain, excuse me, teleport him back, and then the solar flare hits, and Nightcrawler has to teleport back to the plane without Jean, and she gets hit by the solar
the Phoenix
flare.
Force, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is all kind of setting the scene. Hope you're keeping the characters straight. And then Jean is sitting there just floating in space. Nightcrawler goes out, saves her, brings her back. They go down and they get inside the X-Men.
She's floating in space.
She's floating in space afterwards because the ship disintegrates. She gets like fire through her, and then she's just laying there like she's dead.
Okay.
But they bring her in, and she's alive, and they take her back down, and they get into the X-Mansion, and then Mystique walks up to Charles Xavier, and she's like, "Ugh, Charles, it seems that the women have been saving the men more often. You should consider changing the name to X-Women. I hate you." That's how the movie opens. And I'm like, where did that anger come from? Like, it just seemed kind of unnecessary. And then the X-Women thing was oddly this political kind of...
It's a bad line.
Hey!
It's how the series is going. It just is. But as far as like she's killed in the movie. It's shown in the trailers. And
Wait, which she?
Oh, Mystique.
There you go.
Yeah, Mystique or Raven. She's killed maybe half hour through. And honestly, I wish she was killed previously in the series.
I thought she was going to die in the ship.
Yeah, she could have easily. But what she
they
did...
killed her? I didn't know she died.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's in the trailer?
We're in the spoiler
Yeah, it's in the
section.
trailer. Yeah, is it okay? We're spoiling it right now,
I don't
Jake.
mind.
Here's the thing, though,
know.
Jacob. So I didn't see any of the trailers but the first one, so I had no idea she was going to die.
But Joel, she's right though.
But then I saw her. Hold on, I saw her
against-
I saw her in the trailer, or I saw her in the movie. And as soon as she popped up, I'm like, Jennifer Lawrence is in this movie? I thought she hated being in these movies. Why would you? Oh, she's going to die. Like I knew it immediately from the movie started.
Her argument against Xavier, which is why I like what he was in this movie compared to what the X-Men was in the 2000s movies, where mutants were hated. You know, they were the villain, they were the monsters. No one trusted them, and it was always this allegory. And meanwhile, they changed time, and now he is boosting. That's why I did the space mission, so the publicity of the X-Men could be a great thing. Mutants could be accepted, and then when something bad happens with the Phoenix, people are like, "Oh yeah, mutants are terrible."
He says
so there is an interesting twist there.
He says at one point that we're one bad day away from being back to being hated, which is a good point and a good setup. They just didn't deliver on it.
How do they not, though? Because Raven or Mystique dies because of it. Beast starts to get a little angry as well because they were the only...
Which didn't make any sense.
How not? They were together.
Maybe, apparently. Like, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, oh, I think...
Have you seen First Class?
I vaguely remember...
First Class.
It was years ago, and they haven't really developed it since then.
Okay.
The whole time I'm like, oh, that's right. They're in a relationship. Yeah. Oh, apparently they're angry with each other. Okay, sure, why not?
Like, so... Watching scenes where they're in a relationship together is not enough to say they're in a relationship.
It wasn't a developed relationship. It was an undercooked relationship.
That's the problem with the team movie at this point, though. I mean, like, they did rush the story, but it's clear that they're together.
I don't remember it in Apocalypse, them being together, but maybe they were.
Did you watch Apocalypse, Jacob? Because apparently you're not paying attention.
Is that my voice?
Yes, that was a kid.
Jeez.
You didn't even know who was talking then.
I totally remember it in First Class, though, because it was the whole...
said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's like that scene right there, for example, when Mystique gets killed by the Phoenix. So Jean goes to visit her father, who she thought was dead. And then it's kind of this awkward conversation between them, and then the X-Men show up, and they're sitting there talking, and all of a sudden cop cars show up. And I remember thinking... Why are the cop cars showing up? Why would the cops be flying in like that? They don't know anyone's here. They don't know what's going on. And it's only because so Jean can turn around and do a destroy the cop cars. That's all they were there for. There was no reason for them to be flying in other than action scene.
Yeah, I mean, action scenes happen in comic book movies, though.
But that's the kind of movie this was, where it was like, no rhyme or reason, we're just throwing in action here.
What do you think happens in every single one of these movies where they have to say, okay, we need another set piece?
Wolverine?
Very few of these make sense.
Well, they try to
in X2, the parents call the cops, which is why they arrive.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's a good movie. It's a great movie.
Yeah, so there's just one of those little things where I kind of went, wait a minute, that didn't make any sense. Why are they here?
Yeah.
And then she goes to see Magneto, like you said, complete waste. There's really no reason for him to be there.
Really just to show where his character has ended up from the other movies. Because there's always that torment, and they needed to kind of finish off his arc.
This sounds like a really sad send-off for all these characters.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's like...
Because First Class and Days of Future Past...
Oh, man,
I mean,
so
these
good.
Are great movies.
I wish the series would have ended with Days of Future Past because I love the way it tied everything together.
It was actually supposed to. So Matthew Vaughn, who did First Class, he came up with the plot structure for 3 movies. And the second one, he didn't say what it was supposed to be, but the third movie was meant to be Days of Future Past. Then Fox said, we like that one. Can we make it number 2? And he said, no. Because if you go and meet your future selves, that's like the completion of a story.
Yeah.
And then Fox didn't care. And then made Apocalypse after. And then this one, they're like, we need to make another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, some nonsense.
Yeah, and they really shouldn't have.
Dang it. I was going to say this in the spoiler-free version, but content, like one of the things that bug me content-wise is, I mean, this is grim and violent. Minimal language, except for a random F word thrown in the middle. And when I say random, I mean literally, they cut, there's lining up to fight. They cut to one of the characters walking up and he says, if you hurt her, I'll effing kill you. No one reacts to it. No one responds to it. He's not even the same scene with everyone.
He was so pissed, though.
I hate it when Kent uses the word like that, too. It's the worst.
I just remember
He was me. He was me in the theater.
I cannot believe that you liked this.
Yeah, well, I mean, liked. I mean, I give it a slightly above average.
That's liked.
Yeah.
C is like liked.
For me, this is because it's 50-50. This fits right in the middle there of X-Men movies. Yeah, because I would rather watch this than 2 of the Wolverine movies,
Ugh.
a couple of the X-Men movies.
This is probably better than the Wolverine movies. Probably.
Except for Logan, obviously.
Well, yeah, I mean, the X-Men Origins.
I think what they're trying to do is match the tone of Logan. But let me tell you what happened in the process of this. So they finished this movie over a year ago. Disney kind of got their hands on it, and they said, hey, that last act, that's too similar to a movie we have coming out next year, Captain Marvel. And so they had them reshoot it. And it got changed completely to a really just like a train heist scene, which was fun to watch, but it's really just like, really, that's your ending of the movie? Which, honestly, I kind of appreciate because it wasn't going big. It wasn't going bigger and better as far as a superhero movie goes.
That was one of the more fun parts of the movie. One of the parts I
you
actually
did like
enjoyed.
that.
Oh, the battle, yes.
Because that's when I thought the X-Men were really using their powers, and I was like, that's unique.
That was fine.
Yes.
But it was more funny that I thought they had to throw in a line of like, okay, we're going to take the mutants to the containment center now, which is why we're on this train. That's why we're going to be driving on this train. That's where the train is going. That's what it felt like because they had to explain why they're on this never-ending train.
You think it would just be like pretty, it's already be shown once they're wearing the restraints and whatnot.
Well, that's what I was saying. The very beginning, I was totally on board with the mutants all using their different powers to kind of come together and help. I like that.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting after you for that. I was getting after it was the punching thing where it was like turned into a punching match. I also like how the aliens, Jacob, who, by the way, can poke, they can reach out their hand to you and collapse your insides like that, like you're just dead. Yet at the end,
why do they pull punches?
They're just punching people.
Yeah.
Like I was like, wait, use your power.
Yeah. I really felt like it pulled punches. Like anytime there was like a possibly gruesome scene, the camera panned away.
It did.
I didn't get it.
By the way, Jacob, so you can shoot these aliens all you want with like a handgun or machine gun.
They're like T2.
It doesn't hurt them.
Yeah.
Just kind of tells off their flesh and that grows back. Guess what hurts them though?
Fruit.
Big bullets.
It's actually fruit.
Little bullets.
Fruit.
Little bullets don't do it. When they pull out the 50 caliber, that kills them. That's the difference.
Did any of them die with?
They were dying when they got the big gun out. They were actually destroying them. They'd fall down dead. But then
Did they, or do they just kind of, rest for a bit? Because you saw a lot of them die and lose arms and whatnot, and then they were back.
I thought they were dead. I thought, in my mind, I was like, oh, so their weakness is big guns. Good to know.
So you like Jessica Chastain?
Do I?
No, didn't you say you liked her villain in this movie?
Do I?
No, I think you just said their villain, the aliens
were unexplained.
It was the worst alien story ever, I think is what you said.
Almost one of the worst villains.
But I kind of was like, that makes kind of sense, I guess. Although when they finally explained it, it's like,
I heard their motives didn't make any sense. They weren't.
It wasn't
explained.
Have you seen? You've seen the Star Trek reboot where Eric Bana's like, this thing destroyed my planet, and now I must track it down or harness its power.
Is that what it was?
That's basically what it is.
Because that's what they say. They're like, this thing destroyed our planet,
and now
we're going to find it so we can grow a new planet. And I'm like, wait, I don't understand.
And they have to terraform
how this
Earth.
energy works. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So that to me, I was like, because that's what one of the things after the movie, I was like, oh man, I really didn't like that. I wish that was better.
You guys are really talking me out of this movie.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, here's the other thing is like, so the main alien, Jessica Chastain, she wants the Dark Phoenix to reach her full potential.
Yeah.
But then she also wants to kill her so that she can take the energy from her. And then she takes the energy from her, but not all the energy, I think.
Well, she didn't. Can we just say that Dark Phoenix requires 2 movies to really explain what's going on?
I think it requires an entire television series.
Nice.
Oh, so you're saying the cartoon?
I'm saying the cartoon is the best adaptation.
It absolutely
of
is.
The Dark Phoenix storyline.
Do you think we'll ever see this in a movie again?
No.
Because it's too bad.
You probably will in 10 years.
It is too bad that it's been done this way because it's so brilliant in the cartoon. And maybe I'm seeing it with like nostalgia goggles, but still, just take your time with this story, finesse it.
One of the things I will say it's good, Kent, you just kind of reminded me of this. The small scale battles you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's true. They're not destroying entire buildings. Well, they are, but it's not like it's like an apartment complex.
It's not Godzilla.
Instead of like a skyscraper.
That's the difference for me. Is I saw Godzilla last week, and the world was destroyed.
Yeah.
And this one, I saw a punching match with people using their powers in defense and offense. And I was like, that's kind of clever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I have never seen so much destruction as Godzilla.
it is insane. Absolutely.
I wish I should have written down notes right after because I remember there was a part in the battle where I kind of went, that makes no sense whatsoever. By that point, I was completely off the train.
Okay. The train.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
It was the apartment complex battle, but that was right in the middle of it. But
Okay, closing thoughts, gentlemen.
I'm still surprised Kent liked this one.
Yeah.
'Cause
I
honestly-
loved it. I loved this. No.
No.
I walked out thinking, Kent and I agree. This was a misstep in the X-Men direction.
See, and I thought I'd give you a clue when, we walk out and I hear people throwing out hyperbole like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, that's a little bit crazy.
I would say worst movie I've seen in my life.
Not you. I'm talking about other critics.
I'm disagreeing with you.
But, there was so much hyperbole. I kind of get I get a distaste in my mouth because it's a weak movie. It's a mess. Yeah. But, man, you guys are such Disney files that because there's not jokes, you hated it more and you want it to go back to Disney.
I saw someone today being like, yeah, Rotten Tomatoes sure hates Marvel movies, and it listed all they say they sure hate X-Men movies, and they show all the ratings of how good X-Men has done at Rotten Tomatoes so far.
Oh, but since the Disney merger was announced, people started hating X-Men movies. Rotten Tomatoes jumped all over this movie last night when there were 30 reviews. They said, 16% Rotten Tomatoes, guys. There's 30 reviews. I'm like,
I don't think it's this big conspiracy you think it is. I don't think critics are going to be easily swayed by studio. They need to be swayed by the art.
Art.
By the
art.
product itself.
Every movie that gets high Rotten Tomato score is art.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I don't think critics are out there being like, oh, it's from this studio, I will automatically like it. I think critics are like, I need to see it. I need to taste this before I judge it.
I totally disagree. Conspiracies.
Yeah, I think it's authentic.
Illuminati confirmed.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, love you guys.
Do you?
Not you, the audience.
Oh, okay. Straightforward.